All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm starting YouTube here. And we're going to go here. Hang on, jump over to YouTube really quick. And close that. Do a search for Theology Central. Maybe if I can find us. There we are. We should be live. We are. Let's click on that. Really quick. How do we sound? And close that. I think we sound okay. Turn off the live chat. Come back over here to the Sermon Audio platform where there are currently 106 live webcasts currently going on. There we are. Let's listen. Test 1, 2, 3. Come back over here to... We've got that ready to go. Now, everything is set. And we will get started here in just a second, ladies and gentlemen. The map is working. It's a little behind, but it's working. I've got Bibles open. I got a pencil. That's red. I probably need, where is, well, we'll make it work. I've got a little bit of paper. I've got some notebooks, but all right. I think I've got enough. Okay. If I need something, it'll happen in real time, okay? It may not be the most professional, but it will. I'm going to take a drink of water. All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? I hope you are. Here we go. With or without success or failure, it doesn't really matter because it's going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, we go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective, this is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good evening, everyone. It is Sunday, February the 1st, 2026. It is currently 6:37 p.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio located right here in Abilene, Texas. Now, I don't want anyone to be confused. I don't. I want to remove all confusion. So I know if you see the title right now and you're going to be like, wait a minute. I thought we were in the middle of answering objections, and we are still right in the middle of answering a very long YouTube comment where someone puts forth, in a sense, some objections to things that I had taught and said in regards to, we'll call it eternal conscious torment. They were putting forth the idea of annihilationism, and they felt that I handled Revelation chapter 19 and 20 in a casual way, and they thought that there were some clear verses that contradicted my conclusion. So we have been working through that comment. We have been taking it apart. However, as of right now, we're setting aside that comment. I'm not going to be referencing it. I'm not going to be reading it. I'm not going to be looking at it because we have found ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, don't be too scared, but we are right in the middle of the great Satan hunt of 2026. I guess I need some kind of sound effect. I say, what do I have? Oh, I have this. Maybe I try that again. Ladies and gentlemen, where do we find ourselves? We find ourselves right in the middle of the great Satan hunt of 2026. Are you scared? Are you scared? Take a deep breath, calm down. We're going to make it through this together. We are going to make our way through this. Don't be too scared. I think we're going to be okay. Maybe not. Maybe. You know what? I should not make that guarantee. We're getting ready to enter the great, we're in the middle of, we're going to enter into, this is the great Satan hunt of 2026. I cannot promise we're all going to make it out alive. We may not, but we're going to do this. And you may be asking, why? Why are we going to do this? Because see, whenever you find yourself in Ezekiel chapter 28, and you find yourself there because someone says, hey, your understanding of Revelation chapter 20 is contradicted by Ezekiel 28, well, you're going to have to do some work. All right. So before you start jumping to any other passages, before you start stacking verses and building arguments, you got to kind of slow way down. Because whenever Christians open their Bible to Ezekiel 28, it's almost like clockwork. You can set your watch by it. The moment they hit verse 11, suddenly everything disappears. History disappears. Context disappears. The city of Tyre disappears. The prince of Tyre disappears. And out of nowhere, people will say, oh, there he is. That's Satan. Satan is right there. Look, it's Satan. Run, everyone. And I've always thought, whoa, wait a minute. If Satan is really here, if this is really about the devil, if this passage really overturns Revelation chapter 20, well, should it be hard to find him? Should it be difficult? Should it be like, oh, wait, I'm not sure I'm seeing him? I mean, shouldn't it be very clear that we just walked right into Satan? I mean, we're just walking along and we're looking at history and we're looking at the king of Tyre, the prince of Tyre. We're looking at Tyre. We're looking at Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. We're looking at kings. We're looking at all of this stuff. And all of a sudden, boom, oh, Satan, it's you. I mean, shouldn't it be clear that we just bumped into Satan? I mean, we shouldn't have to squint, right? We shouldn't have to skip verses. I mean, we shouldn't have to import our theology. We should just be able to read. And there he is, clear as day. Well, so some would say. So I guess I should say, officially, let me say, welcome, one and all, to the great Satan hunt of 2026. So grab your flashlight, grab your nets, grab your ropes, grab your weapons. I don't know. Grab your magnifying glass. No. You don't need a magnifying glass. I mean, it's Satan. It should be, we're going to find him. We got to grab onto him. We got to capture him, right? Now, I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but seriously, you do need to grab some things, all right? You need to grab some things. If you're listening to me live, well, grab them quickly. If you're listening to me on demand, hit pause, get it, and just leave the house and go get the things you need, okay? Here's what you need. You need a notebook. No, I'm not joking. You need a notebook. Go get a notebook, all right? Find one somewhere. Get a notebook, okay? Go somewhere. Get a notebook, all right? You need a pencil. And you definitely may need a pencil because as complicated as Ezekiel 28 is, and as much as it's been debated for 2,000 years of church history, we may have to do some erasing. So get a pencil. It's not even about my preference over pen and pencil. It's about you're going to need a pencil, all right? So get a pencil. Right? Pencils. You may be writing a lot, all right? So a notebook, pencils, plural. Maybe a pencil sharpener because you may wear that thing down before we're done. All right. And a Bible. You may want to, I use the King James in all of my teaching, but I also will reference other translations. Maybe a Bible and maybe a few additional translations just to see how other translations handle some of this. Now, of course, I know you can look online for all of this, but I like to have physical tools as well. I think that's very important. All right. You got all of that? I'm waiting. Go get all of it. I'm not joking. All right. This is a hunt. This is not where you sit back and go, oh, I'm going to watch this hunting program and watch these guys go into the wilderness to try to capture Satan. No. You've got to come along. All right. I'm sorry. Put down the Doritos, put down the Coke. You got to get into the back of the truck. We're going into the wild. We're going to capture Satan, ladies and gentlemen, or we're going to at least try. So I'm sorry. No. This is not, no. You have to come with us. All right. So you got everything? Because see, we have to go on this hunt. Because apparently Satan is hiding somewhere in Ezekiel 28. And today we begin our look for him. Now, we're not going to bring pitchforks. We're not going to bring a theological system. Oh, you can just leave that behind. We're not going to bring your theological assumptions, and we're not going to bring all the stuff you learned in church. You can just leave that. We don't bring that stuff on my theological and biblical searches, right? No. Whenever we do a biblical hunt, I want you to leave all that stuff behind. Almost anything you were taught in church is useless. Just leave that alone, right? Just leave it alone. Just leave it behind. Just don't bring it, okay? All those Sunday school lessons, just forget them. No, what you're going to bring is a Bible. You're going to bring logic, reason, hermeneutical principles, and we're going to think things through, all right? And you're going to need to bring some logic and, a whole lot of patience. Lots of patience. Because we're not going to rush in this hunt. Oh, no. We're going on a hunt that's going to probably turn into an expedition. We may be away for a while. You may want to kiss your kids goodbye, hug your loved ones, and say, where are you going? I'm going on the great Satan hunt of 2026. When will you be back? I don't know. We're looking for Satan. I may never be back because it's going to take a while. All right? Are you ready? We're not going to rush. We're not going to cherry pick. We're not going to just jump around and run around aimlessly through the woods. No. We're going to do one of the most boring things imaginable. We're going to go slow, methodically, carefully, maybe even tediously. You may be like in the back going, are we there yet? And I'm going to be like, shh, Satan could be in these here woods. Be quiet. One step at a time. We're going to read. Oh, I know that's not going to sound exciting. We're going to go slow. We're going to be careful. We're going to go one verse at a time. And we're not going to just ask, what does it actually say? Or maybe we will at least ask, we are going to ask, what is it going to say? But we're going to ask a lot of other questions as well. We're definitely not going to, we're not going to just ask, what does it say? One of the things we're not going to do is we're not going to worry about what, maybe we will ask the question, what have we been told this means? We will at least consider that. I think what we're going to do is all the different things we may consider. Well, ultimately what we want to know is this. What does the text actually say? Maybe that's the best way to say it. All the other things we may consider, so I guess maybe we shouldn't say we're not going to ask those questions. We may consider that, but it's not just going to be that. There may be a lot of things we consider, but ultimately what we're going to try to get to is what does the text actually say? I don't care what the church says it says. I don't care what your Sunday school teacher says it says. I don't care what your theology says it says. What does the text actually say? So you ready? Here's what I want you to do. This is our pre-hunt prep, all right? Before we step into the woods, here's what I need you to do. I need you to open that notebook, all right? Open the notebook. And I need you to open it where you can see two clear pages, right? On the left, you see a page, and on the right, you see a page, all right? Now, on the left side, I want you to write at the top, Tyre, Tyre, / Prince of Tyre, Tyre, all right? Tyre and the Prince of Tyre, right? King James has Tyrus, Tyrus, but you can go Tyre, Tyre, right? So on the left-hand side, you have Tyre / the Prince of Tyre, okay? Do you have that? At the top, at the very top, on the left-hand side, Tyre / the Prince of Tyre. On the right side, at the very top, just put in all caps with 15 exclamation marks, Satan. Satan. On one hand, on the left, it's Tyre and the king of Tyre or the prince of Tyre. On the right, it is Satan. I want those pages clearly marked. You can use colored pencils if you want. You can make it dramatic. Now, we're not going to try to make definite decisions immediately in some cases. Maybe we will. But we're going to be collecting evidence. Maybe we may be making some assumptions and some conclusions, but ultimately we're going to be putting it all down as evidence to see where we end up at the end. So in a roundabout way, as we do the great Satan hunt of 2026, as we go through the jungle of the text, we're just going to kind of like, hey, what page does this belong to? Is it Tyre, Prince of Tyre, or Satan? That's what we're going to work on. Not sermons. We're going to try not to do too much speculating. We're going to try not to. We're going to do a lot of observation. We're going to use a lot of reason, a lot of logic. We may do a lot of, well, if we put this in this column and we take it to its logical conclusion, that could get very weird and really messy and makes absolutely no sense. All right, are you ready? Now, before we step in to Ezekiel 28, verse 11, because this is sometimes kind of seen as the dividing line, right? And in our previous discussion on this, we've already kind of set everything up that comes before 28:11. So before we get there, before we read the verse, before we do anything, now we're here. Okay, we're right in the middle of the great Satan hunt of 2026. Look around. Look around you. Come on, look around. I mean, if you go on a hunt, you may want to look at your surroundings, correct? Look at your surroundings. What do you see? See, a lot of Christians who go on the great Satan hunt of 2025, 2024, 1952, whatever year they may go, I think they often forget this part. They don't stop to look around because we're not parachuting in to Ezekiel 28:11 out of thin air. It's not like someone's driving the plane over and then opening the door. Okay, go, 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 go. And then we parachute out and we just land right there in 28:11. If that's the way you have done things, I'm sorry. That's not the great Satan hunt. That's just ridiculous. It doesn't work that way. See, when we get to 28:11, we're standing somewhere. And where we're standing, it really matters. So look around. Come on, look around. We're standing in Ezekiel 26, 27, and 28, verses 1 through 10. And everywhere we look, we see the exact same thing. Are you ready? Here we go. Here's what we see. Wherever we look, we can go all the way back to chapter 26. Verse 1, right? 26 verse 1. On February the 3rd, this is how one Bible has it, during the 12th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, this message came to me from the Lord, Son of man, Tyre has rejoiced over the fall of Jerusalem, saying, Ha! Right? The King James has it this way. The word of the Lord came again unto me, or no, this is chapter 28, chapter 26. And it came to pass in the 11th year and the first day of the month that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, because that Tyrus has said against Jerusalem, Aha, she is broken. That was the gates of the people. She is returned unto me. I shall be replenished. As soon as you start reading, you notice, wait a minute, we have time reference, and we have, well, what do we have here? Tyrus, Tyre. Over and over again, we see Tyre, T-Y-R-E, T-Y-R-E. In fact, some Bibles may even have a heading. Here it's Judgment on Tyrus, or Judgment on Tyre. That's chapter 26. If you go, you can just go read through this. You're going to see things like chapter 26, verse 7. For thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will bring upon Tyrus Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Chapter 26, verse 15. Thus saith the Lord God to Tyrus. Chapter 27, verse 1. The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Now thou son of man, take up a lamentation for Tyrus. Chapter 27 verse 3, and say unto Tyrus. Chapter 28, then the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus. Over and over and over and over again, it's Tyre, or Tyrus, Tyrus. We see ships, we see merchants, we see trade, we see commerce, we see nations, we see kings, we see a prince, we see a ruler, we see real people, we see real history, we see real judgment. In fact, when you walk into this section, it's like there's a giant sign posted, right? Right at the entrance. It's got big letters so that we cannot miss it. It says, Tyrus and the Prince of Tyrus. That's where you're standing. You're standing, in a sense, in the land of Tyrus. You're standing in the property of the Prince of Tyrus. That is where you are. And it may be redundant for me to say this. You may say, let's get along with the hunt. And if you're kind of already walking off into the woods, I'm going to grab you. I'm going to pull you back and go, where are you going? Look around. Stop acting like church people who don't know how to read and study the Bible. Church ruins you. Forget church. Look around. Nothing around you says Satan. Nothing around you says the lake of fire, annihilationism, hell. Nothing. It doesn't. All around you, it's Tyre, Tyrus, Tyre, Tyrus. This is one of those things that's so clear. Like, there can be no debate when you get ready to go on the great hunt, the great Satan hunt of 2026. And you're Ezekiel 28, we're going to crawl in there and find Satan. Well, you're crawling over Tyre and Tyrus, Tyre and Tyrus, same thing. The Prince of Tyre, the Prince of Tyrus, you got to crawl over all of that. That is the world you're in. That's the land that you are on. That's the ground you're standing on. That's the context. There's nothing mystical. There's nothing cosmic. It's just a proud city, a proud ruler, and God announcing judgment upon that city and upon that ruler. It is nothing complicated. It is nothing difficult. In fact, not only is it not complicated and difficult, we can look literally in history books to see when this judgment occurred and how it occurred with King Nebuchadnezzar and Alexander the Great. You can read about it in secular history books. But for some weird reason, if you go on a hunt with Christians, if you go on a hunt with church people, if you go on the great Satan hunt with church folk, right about verse 11, it's like we step into a jungle. Thick bushes. Tall grass. I mean, the grass is like, 30 feet tall. I mean, it's like a walls around you, and there's fog everywhere. You can't even see your hand in front of you. And then suddenly, it's usually a pastor, some Christian who they've got it all figured out is going to whisper in your ear, "Shh, be careful. Satan's about to show up. Shh, be quiet. Satan is right around the corner." Right, and you're like, wait a minute. How did Satan get? Shh, you're with church people now, okay? Don't think, don't use logic, don't use reason, don't use Bible hermeneutics. Just listen like church people, okay? Satan is right here. He's everywhere, wherever we need him, all right? And I can't speak for everyone, but there's been times I've kind of wondered, and I think some throughout church history is kind of like, well, if he's really here, why is he hiding so well? Why do we have to hack through theology and tradition just to see him? I mean, if the text really means Satan, it could just say Satan, right? Couldn't it? At least it could clearly describe him. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to step through these bushes together, slowly, quietly. I'm not going to try to make too many assumptions. We're not going to jump ahead. Hey, no. Come, what are you doing? Some of you are like, look, come on. I got to get to the buffet. Come on. Church is only supposed to be about an hour long. Hurry this along. Just get to the point. I know I'm going to get comments like that. You took too long. Okay, I know, because you're used to sermons. This is not a sermon, all right? If you want sermons, there are a million of them online, and they'll give you your nice little prepackaged garbage, and you'll be happy with it. I hate that stuff. That's why people get these wild, ridiculous conclusions and then send them to me on YouTube. So we're not going to make assumptions. We're not going to jump ahead. We're going to move from I almost want to say one piece of grass at a time, one verse at a time. And we're going to see what we can actually find. And you know what? If Satan is there, we're going to find him. And if he's not there, well, we're going to know that too. So take a deep breath. Open your Bible. Crack your knuckles. Sharpen those pencils. You ready? It's time. Let's go to verse 11. We can stop talking about the hunt now. Let's take our first step. Ezekiel 28:11. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, hang on, another translation. Ezekiel 28:11. Then this further message came to me, saying from the Lord. Now, there's nothing dramatic yet. There's nothing mystical. There's nothing controversial. Seems pretty simple. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying. That's it. That's the whole verse. The first verse right here. All right? I know it's almost too simple, but this is exactly where we have to start. Because before we can talk about Satan, before we can talk about Eden, before we can talk about the cherubs, before we ask the most basic question, maybe before we ask some of the basic questions that I know you already want to jump to, maybe you have to ask another basic question, maybe the most basic question of all. Look at the verse. Then this further message came to me from the Lord. 28:11. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me saying, I mean, come on. What's the most basic question you have to ask yourself in verse 11? What is it? Come on. Who is me? Who is me? Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me. Unto me, not you, not your pastor, not your YouTube, favorite podcaster. No, not your YouTube commenter. Who is this message to? And I don't think there's any debate here. The me is Ezekiel. God is speaking to Ezekiel. This is the same formula we have seen over and over and over in the book. The word of the Lord came unto me. It is standard prophetic language. There's nothing new. There's nothing symbolic. There's nothing mysterious. It's just God speaking to Ezekiel. Now, this is important, right? God is delivering a message to Ezekiel. That's within a specific time frame, right? That's here on earth, right? This is not a message being delivered to Ezekiel to be delivered to, we'll get into that. We'll get into that, all right? So I guess we can write this down, all right? This is the same, it's the same context. It's the same speaker. It's the same prophet. It's the same historical setting. We haven't changed locations. We haven't jumped dispensations. We haven't time traveled into a pre-Genesis heaven or a post-earth judgment. We're standing exactly where we were in some ways in chapter 26 and chapter 27 and in chapter 28. We're in exile. We're in history. We're talking about Tyre, and that matters. Because here's what somehow happens, again, within church more than I think within any true Bible students. For some reason, the church likes to mentally, at least mentally, they treat verse 11 like a trap door. Like suddenly the floor opens and we fall out of history and we land in some cosmic backstory about Lucifer. Is the text signaling that so far? Clearly not. There's no, 2,000 years earlier, now let me tell you about Satan. There's no, here's a vision of heaven. Nothing like that. It says, the word of the Lord came unto me. Same formula, same prophet, same context. So whatever this is, it naturally flows out of everything we've read about Tyre. Not away from it. And that is important. Everything before this, it flows right from it. It's not flowing away from it. It's not running from it. It's flowing right from it. So at this point, there's nothing like, wait, what just happened? Now, sometimes texts can do things and go, whoa, this makes no sense. Because context doesn't disappear just because a verse sounds poetic, and that's important. Just because we're going to get into some verses in Ezekiel 28 that goes, wait a minute, that's very poetic, or that sounds very this, or that sounds very that, or that sounds very this. I got no problem it sounds a little bit like this, and it sounds a little bit like that. But you know what doesn't disappear? All of the context that preceded it. Which is all of 26, all of 27, 28, verses 1 through 10. And now we can add verse 11. So before we even move to verse 12, we can write this under our page that says Tyre and the Prince of Tyre. Verse 11 has the same prophet, same historical setting, same context. And under Satan, don't write anything because there's nothing to write yet. We haven't even seen a hint. Now, before we move to verse 12, I'm going to be a little redundant here, and that's okay. Because we have to do this, all right? We have to do this. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh, just move on. But I'm sorry, I cannot move on. I cannot, all right? I just can't. I want you to notice something, all right? Something really, really simple, but I think it's important because if we miss this, we're going to misread the entire chapter, all right? I want you to look at structure. Go back to chapter 26, verse 1. I've already alluded to this, but I'm going to triple down here. 26:1, and it came to pass in the 11th year and the first day of the month that the word of the Lord came unto me. The me is Ezekiel. God speaks to Ezekiel. Does everyone see that? The word of the Lord came unto me saying. I got that? All right, it's the same complete literary textual structure. All right, chapter 27, verse 1. The word of the Lord came again unto me saying, same formula. And again, all of this, chapter 26, 27, it's still Tyre. It's the same history. It's the same commerce. It's the same everything. Chapter 28, verse 1. The word of the Lord came again unto me saying, it's the same formula. And what is it about? It's still we have Tyre, the prince of Tyre. We have a ruler. We have a man. We have, it's all historical context. There's nothing cosmic. And now look at chapter 28, verse 11. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me saying, it's the exact same formula. Same sentence, same formula, same pattern. Nothing has changed. Not a new vision, no time jump, no meanwhile in heaven. It's just another message, the same prophet, the same historical setting, the same stream. So if verses 26, 27, if chapter 26, 27, and 28 are all about Tyre, which there is no question they all use the exact same formula to indicate that, then why would verse 11 suddenly go, oh, Satan? The text is not signaling a shift. Context does not evaporate. So structurally, before we even debate theology, before we even look at Eden, before we look at cherubs, verse 11 just says, here's another message in the same chain about the same situation, which means the burden of proof is actually backwards. Because if we're asking, why isn't this Satan? We shouldn't even be asking that. We should be asking, what in this text forces us away from Tyre? Everything still says Tyre, 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 Tyre. Nothing says devil. Now, with that in mind, now we can go to verse 12. I know that was a little redundant, but I gotta drive that point home. It's so weird because hermeneutically, I shouldn't have to do anything. I'd be like, no. You're gonna tell me this is about Satan burning up and becoming a pile of ash and proves annihilationism? Oh, no. Now, I don't need to prove anything. You prove it to me. The burden of proof is on you because anyone who can read knows this entire section is about judgment on Tyre, the city of Tyre and the ruler of Tyre. Anyone can figure that out. So if you're going to just ignore all of that and go, hey, this is about Satan burning up and it proves annihilationism. I mean, see, and this is why I get so frustrated with those who want to push annihilationism. If this is the way you handle scripture to get to your annihilationism, then you seem to be more committed to annihilationism than you are to the truth of scripture. And I think so because you're emotionally motivated to find annihilationism because it makes you feel better. And I guess if it makes you feel better that Satan is just going to burn up one day and no longer exists, then congratulations, go for it. But if you have to get Satan off the hook so he can just burn up, at the expense of even trying to understand scripture, that seems like a big cost to somehow get Satan to be able to burn up. All right, but let's get to verse 12. Here we go. 28:12. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God, Thou sealest up the sum full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. All right. We've seen the pattern. Message after message after message, the exact same formula, the exact same prophet, the exact same historical setting, and then we step into verse 12. Now don't jump ahead. Don't start importing your theology. Forget everything the church has ever told you. Just read it. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus and say unto him. Don't read another word. Because this may be the most important sentence in the entire debate. Before you get to Eden, before you get to cherub, before you get into anything symbolic, God tells Ezekiel exactly what this is and exactly who it's for. Take up a lamentation. That's funeral language. That's a language of a dirge. That's a judgment language. This is a poetic lament over a coming downfall. It's not a lecture on angelology. It's not a lecture on Satanology. It's not a lecture on the behind the scenes story about Lucifer. It's a lament. It's a lament. Now, are we to take up a lament? Are we to mourn the coming destruction of Satan? That's a good question right there. But then, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus or of Tyre. There it is. It is named directly, explicitly. It's not hinted. It's not symbolic. It's not mysterious. It is the king of Tyrus. And then just to make it impossible to miss, say unto him, a person, a ruler, a man Ezekiel can literally address. Take up this lamentation, and then look what it says. Say unto him. Ezekiel it's meant to, God is giving a message to Ezekiel so Ezekiel can give to someone, to a him, to a person. Now, if we're going to find Satan, then we got to go find Ezekiel and go see how did he deliver this message to Satan. This is a delivered message, God, Ezekiel to a human king. So we can write this down in our pages, right? Or under Tyre, we have, this is, I know this is crazy. This entire section, 28. Look, if you don't, we can make this a section. Why? Look, 28:20, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus. Look what happens in chapter 28, verse 20. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me saying, the new section begins in verse 20. So 28:11 through 28:19 is one section, and that section is clearly identified as a message from God to Ezekiel to the king of Tyre, to the king of Tyre. It is not debated. It is not complicated. You don't need to go to seminary. And the best thing you can do is stay out of church, for crying out loud, because church is where this gets messed up. And I hate to say that, but it's true. It literally tells you. So under your page that says Tyre, Prince of Tyre, King of Tyre, well, it's literally addressed to the king of Tyrus. Under Satan, it's not addressed to Satan. The text has not said Satan. It hasn't even suggested Satan. It's still talking about Tyre, which it's been doing since chapter 26. So before we even debate the supposed symbolism, we have to ask kind of a really basic question. If God literally says, say unto the king of Tyrus, that would mean, say unto the king of Tyrus, like the literal king who's literally living, like literally speak to him. Why would we immediately say, no, this is about the devil and about the devil being burned up, and this proves annihilationism? That's not letting the text speak. That's you overriding the text. The burden of proof isn't on us to prove this is Tyre. The text already said Tyre. The burden of proof is on anyone who wants to replace the king of Tyre with Satan. And that's a high burden, since God clearly identifies who this is to. You can tell God that he's wrong. Well, I mean, that's what the church would do, right? Hey, no, God, you don't know what you're talking about. We know, because we have small groups in this church and we're all Bible scholars. I mean, the text literally says it. And see, this is why I have reached the conclusion. The Bible cannot be understood. When a text literally says, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and we're like, nope, that's Satan. Because there's some language here that's very, I think it fits. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Did you write it? Oh, no. So what did the author say? Well, the author says it's a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus. That's interesting. We'll get into some other things. Well, I don't want to jump too far ahead. Remember, we'll go slowly through the hunt. Now, I think we've got that. I think that's pretty much, we've got it grounded so far. I think we can finally read the description, and this is where people get excited. So, all right, calm down. Here we go. Because now we get to the poetic language. Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Now, some of the church people in our group, they're jumping up and down right now. Look, I found Satan. He's right there. Now they forget that what was just literally told to them, hey, this is a lamentation that's to be delivered to the king of Tyrus. They're like, no. Satan, he's right there. Satan. You got to take it, give them some blood pressure medication. They're going to stroke out on us. Take a deep breath. All right? We have to slow down. Now, first thing we have to ask ourselves, what kind of passage is this? The text tells us. Take up a lamentation. It literally identifies the literary genre. You don't even have to go to school to figure it out. It tells you what the literary genre is. It's a lament. And lamentation is filled with poetry, funeral language, ancient Near Eastern royal imagery. Kings are described in huge, cosmic, over-the-top terms all the time within this literary kind of genre. This is how royal poetry works. It's not a resume. It's not a medical chart. It's not literal anatomy. It's a poetic description that is supposed to describe, what do you think? If you go through chapter 26 and 27 and parts of 28, we know what the problem is with Tyre and the king or the prince of Tyre. It is one of what? Pride, arrogance, personal deification, their own being overwhelmed by their own greatness. Sillis up the sum. In other words, you kind of perceive yourself as the total package, right? If I read it from a different translation, go to Ezekiel 28. Go to Ezekiel 28. You are the model of perfection, full of wisdom and exquisite in beauty. You were the model. You were the sum. You perceived yourself to be the standard. Maybe everyone else saw you as, oh, wow, look at them. You were the standard of perfection, full of wisdom. Maybe because of their political savvy, their strategy, their success, perfect in beauty. Because of the glorious city, magnificent kingdom. And we saw and you see all of this going all the way back to chapter 27. Right? Look at chapter 27, verse 1. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Now thou, son of man, take up a lamentation for Tyrus, and say unto Tyrus, O thou art situate at the entry of the sea, which art a merchant of the people for many isles. Thus saith the Lord of God, O Tyrus, thou hast said, I am of perfect beauty. We've already seen this language being used of the city. Now it's being used of the ruler himself. Chapter 28. Verse 1, the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord of God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a god. I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man, and not God, though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. This is all about their perception of how beautiful, how powerful, how wise, how great, their own deifying themselves. Tyre, the city of Tyre, was described as the jewel of the sea, ships, gold, trade, luxury, beauty. None of this requires Satan. This is exactly how prophets sometimes would describe proud kings, big language, exalted language, almost mythical language. Because prideful rulers thought that they were untouchable, and that's the point of the lament. It's not, hey guys, let me tell you about Lucifer's backstory. But hey, you thought you were perfect. But you are about to fall. It's very human, it's very political, it's very historical, it's not cosmic. So before we move to Eden, before we move to the cherub, we have to ask the question, which pages is filling up faster? Your Satan page or your page about Tyre, the prince, the king of Tyre? Because so far, everything says Tyre. Now, we're going to stop right there. No. Come back. I know what some of the church people are like, okay. Maybe that doesn't describe Satan, but come on, it's right ahead. Come on, we take a few more steps. Stop. Don't jump ahead. We walk through verse 11 and 12 carefully. And what do we have so far? No Satan, no Lucifer, no fallen angel. We have a message from God to Ezekiel about a real king and a real city and real history, which means something very important. If Satan shows up, he's going to have to show up clearly because so far, everything still says Tyre. So we're going to do something almost no one ever does. We're going to set up camp right here. Yep, we're going to set up camp. I know what you're thinking. It's getting dark. I know it is. I know you're going to be scared. I know. You're going to be in your tent. You're going to be petrified because you think Satan's right around the corner and he's going to reach in and pull you out of your tent and eat you. I know. It's okay. Just, we're going to be okay. All right? I think we're going to be okay. We're going to close our Bible and we're going to let all of this sink in. There are 21 verses in chapter 26. All of that, Tyre, there's no way to get around it. It's kings, it's ships, it's history. Chapter 27, it's all Tyre, no way to get around it. There are 36 verses. So we have 21 verses. You guys can do the math. 21 plus 36. Then chapter 28, verses 1 through 10, is all about Tyre and Tyrus again, or Tyre and Tyrus, again, depending on your translation, the Tyre and the prince and king of Tyre. That's another 10 verses you can add. All of those verses say the same thing. This is about real city, real king, real history, real nations, real judgment. And history says it was literally judged. And we can talk about the judgment under Nebuchadnezzar and the judgment that happened under Alexander the Great. Literal history. Now, next time, we're going to open our Bibles to verse 13, and we're going to step into Eden. We're going to step into some stones, pipes, the cherub, and we're going to see if Satan is really there, or are we chasing shadows? And if we do find Satan, well, what does this mean? Because if we do find Satan, we're going to have Satan somehow internally combust because fire is going to emerge from inside of him. Look, verse 18, I will bring forth a fire from the midst of thee. So God is going to have Satan, just a fire starts emerging inside of him. It's going to devour him and he's going to be brought to ashes. And this is all going to happen on earth. And it's going to happen in the sight of all of them that behold thee. So there's going to be all these people who watch it happen. And then all they that know thee among thee, the people, shall be astonished at thee. They shall be a terror, and never shall there be any more. Satan is going to eternally combust, burst into ashes. All the people are going to see it, and it's going to serve as a warning for them. Well, wait a minute. I'm confused. When does this happen on earth so that everyone is watching? Because by the time I get to Revelation chapter 20, seems kind of weird, right? Heaven and earth has fled away, right? There's no more earth, right? It's judgment. Everyone is judged. Everyone's judged. So Satan is now but there's no earth for Satan to be burned up on unless I got to change the entire chronology of the book of Revelation to make this fit. And who are the people who are going to be left behind after? Who's going to be on earth going, oh man, God just burned up Satan? That's scary. In fact, one translation translates that this way. All who knew all who knew you are appalled at your fate, and you have come to a terrible end, and you will exist no more. They're going to be appalled at your fate. All these people are going to be like, I cannot believe what happened to Satan. He just burned up and just turned into ashes. Oh, this is horrible. Who's going to be the people going, this was horrible? I thought all the other lost people are going to be burned up. So does Satan get burned up first and then everyone else watches it and then they're just gone? But they're not going to stick around very long being appalled by it. I mean, I don't get it. And this is supposed to happen on earth. I mean, if it's literal Satan being turned into literal ashes, then it's got to be literal earth. And not only that, it gets even more confusing because if you just go back up, you defiled your sanctuaries with your many sins and your dishonest trade. Satan was involved in some kind of a trafficking ring, some kind of trade. And if you go to verse 16, your rich commerce led you to violence and you sinned. Wait, Satan was corrupted by how great his commerce was, how rich he got off his commerce? When did this happen? Satan was just like a really good guy, and then he was involved in this, this trade route where he was making all kinds of money, and then that money made him corrupt. Satan was corrupted by his success? What? The whole thing starts becoming just ridiculous. So even if we find Satan here, we're going to have to take it all the way to its logical conclusion. But I said we're going to set up a camp, but I didn't want to disappoint you too much. I know Eden is right on the other side of that tree. And I'm not going to be afraid of it. We're going to walk right into that passage and we're going to try to figure it out. But here's what I know. I'm not going to figure out Eden by throwing out chapter 26, chapter 27, chapter 28, and God's own words, which says, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus and say unto him. And whatever I do, if I do find Satan here, I got to figure out why I guess the book of Revelation is completely wrong and fraudulent. Because there's no way Ezekiel 28, it can be talking about Satan being burned and turned into ash on earth where everyone can see, and somehow Revelation chapter 20 verse 10 has it means anything. And the one thing I do know is Ezekiel 28, I know what literary genre it is. It's a lamentation. Revelation is not a lamentation. But I'm supposed to take a lamentation, which is by definition poetic, and reinterpret Revelation, which I thought is a revelation, but I guess it's not really a revelation. It's a misrepresentation. And this is what happens when Christians study the Bible. We can't figure anything out because nobody can agree on anything. And this is why I arrive in such a depressed and discouraged state at times, because nobody can figure anything out. And I know, hop on sermon audio tonight, start looking up sermons on Ezekiel 28. I know some of you are going to jump the gun and you're not going to camp tonight. That's okay. And I will think the majority of them, will interpret Ezekiel 28 as being about Satan. I probably would say 90% will. Now, they won't go as far as the YouTube comment went. They're not going to say, oh, this proves Satan is going to be turned into, burn up on earth and turn to ash. They're going to stop it there. But it'll be this weird game that, even in my Bible right here, the Foundation Study Bible, it goes all over the place. Well, that's the king of Tyre. No, that's Satan. No, that's the king of Tyre. No, that's literal. No, that's not. And it's like, can you make up your mind? Which is it? Or is it just a poetic lamentation about, hey, Tyre and the king of Tyre is going to be destroyed? Which is literally what happened. See, it's weird. We have a passage where we literally know what happened. We literally know. We can look back in time and go, oh, Nebuchadnezzar, Alexander the Great, this is how the city was sieged. This is how the city was destroyed. Here's literally what happened. But for Christians, we're like, no, I don't care about that. I'm going to turn it into, well, it's kind of Satan, it's kind of this, and I'm just going to turn it into whatever I want. All right, thanks for listening. Everyone have a great night. The great hunt for Satan will resume tomorrow, and we're just going to focus on the very next verse, which will be verse 13. Get your rest. God bless.